Hello, Internet. Guess what? We're
Hey,
finally
guys.
back. We're here.
Hopefully.
We're not dead. Oh, God. Please let this one work.
No.
It's another episode of Track Record. And after a bit of an unfortunate and unplanned 2 weeks off, we're here with a brand new episode. Took us long enough.
Yeah, we're sorry. I really
Things
did
happen.
enjoy our off the record though.
Oh, it
Sad
was so
didn't
good.
Air.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good one.
What can you do?
Yeah. What you can do...
We were just literally talking about, programs shitting out on us, and that's exactly what happened. We talked about it, but I think before we started recording, you're like, "Oh, acid keeps freezing on me." It's like, "Oh, I don't really get that with FL," and then lo and behold,
FL fucking shit the bed on you.
Shizzle.
But things are good for this one. We're gonna be great, and it's a new month. It's July.
It is.
It's July 4th. Happy Independence Day.
Oh yeah.
Go eat some steaks and blow some shit up, folks. That's what you do on July 4th.
Yeah. Put a sparkler in your O-ring. Have a good time.
So because it's a new month, that means it's July, so that means today's episode is the best of June, where Robert and I look back at some of the music that was released in the month of June, and we pick a favorite.
I'm Robert.
Yes, he is. He's Robert, and I'm Michael, and this thing I'm tapping right now is also a mic, so let's just not be confused, okay? All right.
You can lick them both.
You can lick them both. But one of those is weird, and the other is exciting. It's your job to determine which one it is. Man, we're off to a great start.
Silence.
So we're doing it's just the best of June episode, guys. Best of June. Best of June. And we're going to have Robert take the first swing at this while I sit here and drink an alcoholic beverage and listen to his pick.
Okay. 9-inch Nails.
What?
9-inch Nails, Bad Witch. That's right.
Was it that good?
It was pretty good. It's pretty good, man.
I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet. All right.
I couldn't find anything else that topped it.
All right.
So, came out on the 22nd of last month. Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross promised way back in 2016 a trilogy of EPs. They released Not the Actual Events in 2016, Add Violence in 2017, and now have topped it off with Bad Witch, an album title which I do condone. It is a beautiful, anything to do with witches and occult shit. I'm all over that shit. I'll speak more about that later in a reveal to our people.
Yeah, you will.
Bad Witch is cool because it's an EP that's being marketed as an LP because apparently EPs don't show up as frequently in streaming apps or something like that, as Trent explained it. I guess it gets kind of bogged down. EPs don't, if they were doing like a showcase or something, it wouldn't show up or something like that. I don't know. I don't do streaming apps, but... So in order for the album to get some shine, they've labeled it an LP. I don't know, what the cutoff is. It's got 6 tracks. It sits at 30 minutes 14 seconds. It's the shortest Nine Inch Nails LP ever. 30 minutes.
That's pretty short.
I don't know. I personally tend to think that anything over 30 minutes qualifies as an LP. It just, I don't know if it's, because I mean you've got like doom bands that'll put out 4 songs and it'll be 90 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's there hasn't been a decided mark for that. I think I read somewhere that 25 minutes was kind of the sweet spot for an EP. But I think, it seems like more and more artists now are using the EP format as just short albums rather than like a showcase as it used to be. It used to be a showcase CD with, demos or remixes, live performances, one cuts, stuff like that. And you don't really see that anymore. I think that was EP of old, like before the 90s. Mm-hmm. But I think I like how the idea surrounding EPs has kind of shifted in that way. I like a nice, succinct, 4 or 5 songs just to kind of, get some music off your chest, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now, back to this record. We're all brutally, painfully aware that on this podcast, Nine Inch Nails' last LP, Hesitation Marks, was frankly a disaster.
Fuck that album.
Yeah, I believe that was the phrase.
Every time.
It's boring, cringeworthy, uninspired, lackluster. But Bad Witch and really this trilogy of albums are really a complete turnaround, especially with Bad Witch, and this is why. Experimentation and creativity. That is what Hesitation Marks was lacking, very much so. And this is what I knew that Nine Inch Nails was definitely capable of. I was kind of down in the dumps during the Hesitation Marks era that, Nine Inch Nails had lost their luster, they lost their mojo. And so my faith has kind of been restored with this. I hear somewhat of a callback to The Fragile. But this kind of really goes beyond that with just how a little bit more rambunctious it is. It's 6 tracks that really work together to bring the listener a true representation of the greatest industrial band to ever walk the face of the earth. Bad Witch is a fun little listen. Again, it's 30 minutes, but it's transcendental, it's brooding, raucous, and ultimately quite artful. And I really do like where Nine Inch Nails is headed with this. I don't think I can recommend any one song, as cliche as that is. This album must be consumed as a whole. I mean, it's only 30 minutes. It's great for any commute, or just a quick blast into a creative space. It's just a really fun listen. Even though it's quick, it still has that ability to kind of make you go to a different place, So I'm going to give it 4 out of 4 perps all the way. Also, interestingly, there's been a lot of chatter on the webs of people likening this record to Bowie's last record, Black Star.
Wow.
And I think the comparison is definitely, I can definitely feel that. It's got some of that jazzy darkness to it. Man, Black Star, that was, have you listened to that?
I have listened to Black Star. That's a bold comparison.
It's a bold comparison, but it doesn't quite reach. There's just a couple spots where it's esque, but it doesn't quite reach the what's the word? The profoundness of Black Star, I think. Mm-hmm. And that's it, man. Nine Inch Nails, Bad Witch. Go check out all 3 of those EPs. 2 EPs, 1 LP. I don't fucking know. But they're really good.
Awesome.
That's that.
Yeah, it's after how much I just didn't like Hesitation Marks, I was hesitant to listen to this one until you did. With you being more of the Nine Inch Nails aficionado than I am. I like Nine Inch Nails, but you're a much bigger fan than I am. So I figured if you liked it, it was at least worth checking out. But if you didn't like it, I'm a little bit of a sheep that way. But Hesitation Marks it hurt me. It hurt me so bad, Robert. So we're gonna take a quick break, I guess. I guess that's it. So we're gonna take a quick break. And when we come back, I've got this is a tough one. This was my pick for my favorite album of June. So this was hard for me though. This was not a month that music I traditionally listen to put a lot out. But we'll talk about it when we come back from the break. Stick around, everybody. Nothing brings people together quite like the movies, and every week Aaron Lopez wants you to join him in a discussion about the latest and greatest in the world of film. So grab a drink, grab some popcorn, and get comfy. Come join Aaron and friends every Thursday at The Drive-In, presented by Eventide Entertainment. There's nothing quite as satisfying as a good conversation with intelligent company. Join comedian Don Smith every week as he sits down and talks with comedians, actors, filmmakers, writers, and everyday schmoes. It's The Life with Don Smith, Wednesdays at noon on 106.9 FM, and now available on the Eventide Entertainment podcast feed every Friday on Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes. Move over, Jimmy Kimmel. Step aside, Conan O'Brien. Back off, Stephen Colbert. It's my turn. I'm Mike Shea, and every Tuesday on my show, Mike Talks Funny, I sit down and talk with comedians, actors, film fans, podcasters, anybody willing to get down, get deep, and get dirty.
I don't remember the first time I had sex. That was horrible. I didn't even finish the first time I had sex.
I've tasted what most comics want, and now I have to go back and eat the leftovers.
You're so brave for wearing that shade of lipstick on stage. My God.
Think of Last Comic Standing, and Mystery Science Theater 3000 had a baby, and that's the show.
My online doppelganger is also a larger black man. He is Adrian Miller. All the top results are he's a professor.
Interviews with great people, not to mention all kinds of awesome new music every show.
Hey, this is Don Smith.
This is Scotty Mays.
Hey, this is Kevin Goatee with Comics Watching Comics.
Brought to you by Eventide Entertainment.
Welcome back, friends. It's Robert and Mike. It's Track Record. We're doing it. It's live.
Hi.
It's hot. What's up? So I want to tell everyone about this thing I've got going on.
Yes. Tell them about
that. I've created a brand.
What?
I've created a brand. It's called Shadow Magic. Magic with a K, the archaic form of the spelling of magic. Shadow Magic, one word. You can go to the Facebook page, Shadow Magic. You can go to the website, shadowmagic.online, and you can find some sick designs, some t-shirts that I put on there. I am going to go full out with this website. Lily's excited. I'm going to go full out. Oh, man. I am going to go full out with this website. There's going to be a ton of designs on there. Collections. There's going to be an Eventide collection. There's going to be a collection I'm calling Blood Wizard, and it's going to be fucking groovy. So I hope everyone goes to check it out. T-shirts are $20. You can't hardly get better than that. So we'd appreciate your support. Go check it out if you like it. The idea behind it is I was wearing a black T-shirt one day because all my T-shirts are black. Because that's how I roll, and that's how a lot of people roll. And it was like 95 degrees outside, and I nearly died. I melted. And so I thought, what if I put, gothy themed shit on light colored clothing, so that way us vampiric people don't fucking die. So that's what I've chosen to do. Now, don't worry, because I'm still going to include some black in there. That's going to be part of the Blood Wizard collection. But the main juice is going to be light colors, but with, kind of occult themes, nerd themes, just anything that I think is a cool design. It's gonna go up on there. That's shadowmagic.online. Go check it out, please. Thank you very much. And
absolutely,
thank you, Lily, for being the cheerleader during that pitch.
She laughed throughout that whole thing. She is so excited for this, as all of you should be. I hope all of you were laughing at the same time.
Yes,
this is great. This is cool stuff, because as metal goth kids like we are / used to be, nothing sucks more than this time of year when the majority of your wardrobe is black and it's 90-something degrees outside, but you're not going to fold because you're not a coward. You're still going to wear your black. You're just going to bitch and moan about it the entire time, and everybody will listen. So,
yes, because you're important.
So, you are important, and just because you're a goth or a metalhead doesn't mean you shouldn't also get to stay cool in the summertime. So now you can be totes brutal and totes cool.
Oh, totes, man. Totes. Oh, man.
So, for my favorite album from June, this was hard for me. The only band that was somewhere in the vein of what I typically listen to put an album out was Bullet for My Valentine, and the album just was not good. Just not good at all. Which is a shame, because their last one, Venom, was fantastic. But it came down to two albums that were very different from each other and very different from what I usually listen to. My choices were between the new one from the Gorillaz called The Now Now, and
I didn't even
the
hear about that one.
It really slipped under the radar. And then there's a Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park finally put out a true solo album just under his own name called Post Traumatic. This has nothing to do with Linkin Park or Fort Minor. It's just his own thing. So I kind of was between the two of those. Where my decision finally came down to was I looked at the things that I look for in a good album, because both were really good. And both were a definite step up from the previous endeavors. For the Fort Minor album that Mike Shinoda did was okay, but it was basically just Linkin Park without Chester.
Yeah,
it sounded like Linkin Park. And then the Gorillaz' last album, which came out last year, was just a pile of hot garbage. It was called Humans, and it was like 20-something tracks, but most of them were under a minute long. And every single one had at least one other featured artist on it. And they had like 4 deluxe editions that got it up to like 34 tracks.
Jesus.
But even at the base 20 tracks, it was still under an hour long. So wow. The new one, the Now was very good. It was a little more back to basics. But I actually settled on Mike Shinoda's album Post Traumatic. The reason for that particular choice is while Gorillaz' album The Now was very good, it had a lot less fluff. It was 11 tracks, 41 minutes, only a couple of featured artists, and the featured artists they picked were good. One of their tracks has Snoop Dogg, which is, it's fucking Snoop Dogg, so cool. And the other one, Humility, had George Benson, who is a legendary blues and jazz guitar player. So that was cool. But the artwork sucked. While it was a nice rollback to kind of the Gorillaz of old, it was almost cookie cutter.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was it's fine to do a little bit of a throwback to your old style of music, but it was such a throwback that it was almost off-putting. Whereas with Mike Shinoda's album, Post Traumatic, like I said, with Linkin Park, there was a definite sound, and especially because Linkin Park had the songs that were predominantly rock songs featuring Chester Bennington on vocals, and then they have the songs that were predominantly rap or hip-hop songs with Mike Shinoda doing his thing. And when he did Fort Minor, which was kind of this hip-hop side project, it literally just sounded like all of the rap hip-hop tracks that Linkin Park did, just without Chester. It really didn't sound any different. So Mike Shinoda actually put this album together following the death of Chester Bennington. It was something he'd been working on, but it wasn't until Chester's unfortunate passing that kind of kicked him into high gear of wanting to write and produce some new tracks that were his own style, his own way of doing things, that he could properly channel what he was going through instead of having to just try and fit a mold that the fans would approve of. So in January of this year, he put out an EP of the same name, the Post-Traumatic EP, which had 3 or 4 songs specifically dedicated to dealing with the loss of Chester Bennington. And because it was such a personal thing, that was kind of his decision to keep it separate from Fort Minor, because it was just something just for him. And then I guess in the process of making that EP, it kind of triggered something in him. He decided to go ahead and put together a full album. Now, Mike does all of the composing and mixing and producing. Mike has produced on just about every Linkin Park album that's been released. He also did the artwork himself, and the artwork is a really nice piece of kind of avant-garde, almost splatter-style painting that looks very nice. He brought in some additional musicians on a couple songs. Rob Borden, who's the drummer for Linkin Park, did drums on a couple tracks. Brad Delson, who's the guitarist for Linkin Park, came in on 1 or 2 songs. But it was great to have Mike just focus on just writing an album all by himself. Now, this one does also feature some guest vocalists. The most notable to me is on the song Lift Off, which has Machine Gun Kelly and Chino Moreno from Deftones on it.
Whoa.
Which is really cool. What I also like about this is it's not just straight rap, like a lot of people, like what Fort Minor was. Mike, in being in the band Linkin Park, did a lot of regular singing and vocal work as well, usually in the background, that kind of thing. So with this album, he really stepped up and did some more traditional vocal singing on top of what you would expect to hear from him in terms of his rapping and his hip hop style. The album is very honest, and you can tell that it was a great piece of catharsis for Mike, getting in and just kind of opening up the floodgates and letting everything out that was going through his head. There's also some other features from K-Flay and Black Bear, and those are great as well. Grandson makes an appearance on here, but Mike Shinoda really and truly is the shining star of this whole album, as he should be. A lot of rap and hip-hop albums nowadays get so drowned in featured artists and guest producers and things like that it can feel very manufactured. And Mike was very careful to make sure that at the end of the day it was, his name on the record, and so it was his voice and his words that were the standout of everything. Production-wise, Mike really shows how he's evolved as a producer over the years. Like I said, he's worked in the production on all their albums, but the first one that he ever actually got credit for was Minutes to Midnight, and he's had a heavy hand in it ever since that one, and you can see where his actual skills as a producer have evolved over the years. His ability to mix tracks so that no one track is drowned out by something else. Everything is blended really well. And it's 16 tracks. It comes in at about just under an hour. So it's a bit of a commitment, but it's also something that if you were a big Chester Bennington fan or a big Linkin Park fan, I think it's something you should really it's worth devoting the time to. It's worth devoting that hour of your day to listen to. it's like I said, the word that just keeps running through my mind is honest. Nothing feels like it's forced. Nothing feels like it's trying to fit a mold. It's just Mike Shinoda letting people walk around in his own head for an hour. So I really dug this one a lot. Again, this is something that was out of my wheelhouse, just in that while I have a lot of respect for the guys in Linkin Park, I haven't been a Linkin Park fan for quite some time. I kind of hopped off that train eventually. But to get, to take a fresh step back into the world of the guys in Linkin Park in a way, without that Linkin Park facade on top of it, to just take it for something new and something fresh. It's just a really great listening experience. So I'm not sure what else I can really say about this one. It's a great, if you're a big fan of rap and hip hop, it's a great listen to. If you're a fan of rock, there's a lot of rock elements in this as well, without sounding like a carbon copy of Linkin Park. So it's a 4 out of 4 for me. It's a great listen. Definitely worth checking out.
Groovy. I will check that out.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's good. Like I said, it was tough between this and the Gorillaz, because the Gorillaz one was really good. Because that one from last year was just so bad. But the Mike Shinoda album just had a little bit more of what I was looking for in a good album. So, and the artwork is fantastic. I love the cover art.
Cool. I'm gonna check that shit out, Bo.
Yeah, man.
You had me at Chino.
I know. As soon as I was downloading it, and I was like, "Wait, fucking Chino's on this shit." Oh, I meant to listen to that song first. I didn't. I listened to it like beginning to end, but that is, I mean, not just because it has Chino Moreno on it, but he does help. That is probably one of the better songs on the album. They're all good, but that's probably one of the best because fucking Chino. I'm just saying.
All righty then.
It's a good show. Well, hey, listen, guys. While we've got you guys here on the audio streams, let's remember to go to patreon.com/trackrecordpod, where you can, for as little as $1 a month, you can help support this show, help basically cover the cost of all the music that we buy for this show. And you get access to our Patreon feed, which includes the raw, totally uncut episodes of this show, because, we have to cut some things out here and there. Sometimes. But usually with that comes Robert and I shooting the shit at the end of the show. And some fun stuff like that. Also, you get all kinds of discount codes, chances to get more involved with the show, like being involved in an off the record, or suggesting a topic, or actually coming on the show and discussing an album. Like I said, for as little as $1 a month, that gets you access to all kinds of cool stuff. So go to patreon.com/trackrecordpod and get all the information there. Also, make sure you're following us on Twitter at TrackRecordEE. That's Track Record, capital E, capital... Oh, I burped right in the middle of that. Capital E, capital E.
How could you?
I know. And as always, tweet us with the hashtag Gary Busey loves potato salad.
He does.
He does. He loves his potato salad. So, yeah, this best of June track record there, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks again for tuning in.
Wait.
And, wait?
Yes.
Why wait?
Because I want to hear it.
You want to hear it? You want me to say that we have a show?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
And hopefully once we hit the stop button on the recording, everything goes fine and we can upload this shit. And it'll be good.
I think it'll be all right. I'm not using FL this time.
No? You're using Audacity?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll be back next week with, I don't know, should we do a themed episode next week, or should we do a regular episode next week?
I think we should do an off the record because we got to make up for it.
We do. We haven't done an off the record that's hit the air in a long time. So I think next week is going to be another off the record.
Sounds good.
All right, folks. Next week off the record. This has been the best of June. We're gonna get out of here.
Okay.
Bye, kids.
Bye.
Wednesdays on Eventide, Robert Yetter and Mike Shea sit down and throw albums at each other, talking about them, picking them apart, ripping them a new one. All different artists, all different genres, all different levels of suckage. It's Track Record, Wednesdays at 9 a.m. on the Eventide podcast feed. For more information, go to eventideent.com.